Hello and welcome back. Sean here, Mountains Garage. It's midweek, the last full week of July 2025. And today I'm back on the Turbo 400, the clutch Turbo 400, the poor man's Lenco. And no, I didn't coin that phrase. It was a headline in a magazine when these were forgotten about. And I think Popular Hot Rodding did an article on them called that. I'd love to find the article or the magazine it was in. I believe somebody sent me gave me the month of the magazine, maybe a picture of the cover, but I'd like to read the article again, but all I can do is move forward on the one I was gifted with, I guess. I had to pay for it, but it's still a gift. People are enjoying watching me rebuild it. Best video I ever had was when I tore it apart. So if you want to go back and watch those, tore it all apart. We discovered it had been rebuilt in the 90s. I learned that because the band inside it was marked 1992 and it said TH400/4L80E. And when these were originally built, 4L80Es were a long ways off in the future. So this video is all about assembling the direct drum. When we took the transmission apart in the first video, discovered that everything was brand new. It was assembled with like a heavy brown assembly lube, which was still pliable, but everything that wasn't coated with that started to get a light skim of rust on it. Not bad, it cleaned up okay, it just takes forever. I've been most of the afternoon, well, a good part of this afternoon, getting it ready to assemble. So that we are, so let's do it. I believe I heard the UPS truck, which is good, more parts. Starting with the drum, it has a round back, it's what I call them. This area where either the roller style clutch would ride, or in our case we have a Sprag. A lot of them only had a 16 element Sprag. This one has the 34. Not knowing the history of it, who knows, but it has the one we want. We want the 34 element Sprag on this drum. It is a popular modification to drill a bleed hole right at the edge of the seal, where the seal rides for the piston. In the back here, what that does is help shed oil that might be trapped under the piston. When this is freewheeling, it prevents it from pushing the oil ahead and maybe dragging the clutches, costing you horsepower and wearing out your clutches. So a small bleed hole is the deal. And for years, and if you buy a trans brake valve body, they suggest you do it. They tell you to take like a cordless drill and drill at an angle from this side. And I broke a lot of drill bits doing that over the years. One day, sick of doing that, I wanted it to not be such an ordeal to drill a hole. I experimented, took a wild guess, and got lucky, maybe. If I set my caliper to 440 thousandths, 0.440, and I measure in from the outside of the drum and prick punch it right there, I set this on the drill press, drill carefully straight down through, and I've now done about a year's worth of drums without breaking a drill bit. And it ends up being perfectly placed. So 440 thousandths from the outside of the drum, from the back. Now we got a bleed hole. Speaking of holes, this has a array of random pattern holes drilled into the area where the steel lugs into the drum. I've seen this before. I don't believe it's a factory GM thing ever. Probably, this was a high performance transmission back when it was built. And somebody's idea no doubt weakens the drum. But let's be honest, this transmission is a bomb. It's dangerous. It's going to have a scatter shield over the clutch. I have a liquid scatter shield we're going to modify to bolt onto the adapter. And it has to have a shield over the transmission. I would not trust any of this dumping the clutch with all this freewheeling parts that are known to explode anyway. Now we're putting more strain to it. The cushion of the torque converter is out of the picture. So knowing that, and it won't be run in my watch anyway without a shield over it, we're going to press on with this modified drum. not knowing if a stock one would be any better or worse, so it's what we have. So to start, we have to put the Sprag on. 34 element like I mentioned. You got a 50-50 shot. When you're done, you want the race to freewheel clockwise like the second hand of a clock, and you want it to lock counterclockwise or to the left. So this could go on either way. I've got it packed with Vaseline. If we're careful, we can just set it down on there. This is not pre-rehearsed. And this particular Sprag is not, I put Vaseline in it, but it was all pretty much dry. You buy one that's packed with grease. The race itself, you can see where the Sprag used to run, and it's toward the back of the drum, if you will. It's up, so I know the wear marks are up, so I'm putting the wear marks up. And you have to be careful that none of these are hanging out. And if you're careful and rotate to the right, it'll go on. So now we're freewheeling like the second hand of a clock and locking to the left. So that's correct. The shield, pretty simple rig. Just got two little stick outs, whatever you want to call them, that fit right in the grooves on the drum. 480E uses a spiral lock for this shield retention, and actually it's holding the Sprag itself in too, but for this operation we're going to go ahead and use the stock one. It's lasted this long. I like to just orient it so it's away from the indentations for the shield, so you put it halfway around. You can just walk around with your finger, make sure it's in, make sure we are freewheeling the right way, and we're done. The only thing I'll do when we're done is put a little Vaseline where the seals and the center support are going to ride. This is nice and smooth. This is where you'd feel for wear right here. If it's been run with steel rings, watch for grooves. This is just it's just discolored. It had Teflon seals in it, so that side of the drum's good to go. The piston, let's talk about the parts we're going to use. Hang on a second, I hear more noise. When you're in the middle of the woods, it's easy to hear things outside, and I have a box I want to give the UPS guy, so I'm kind of listening for him. So the parts we're going to use, along the same line of centrifugal apply and trying to prevent it. When this transmission was assembled, back in the day, the builders I knew when I was in high school thought it was an upgrade to leave springs out of the piston, the return springs. They put like half of them in there. This had about one every other. That school of thought is gone, and now you put big springs in here with a trans brake. This does not have a trans brake. We have a clutch pedal, but oftentimes if I'm building even an auto shift, pretty decent transmission, going to handle some power, I'll put a half set of the high rate springs, the stiff ones, and a half set of stock ones every other, and that's exactly what we're going to do. The retaining plate, there's 4 little bulges that retain the snap ring when you release this after you use the tool to assemble this whole thing, which we will. You can buy these heavy duty. When you got a full set of these high rate springs in there, it's a lot of strain on this baby. They take it. You don't have to upgrade, but Sonex makes heavy duty ones, and they also have 5 bulges to hold the snap ring in. Good upgrade if you headed that direction. It has 6 clutches and 6 full-size steels. The pressure plate is still the factory dimension, and the piston's only cut to like 0.620. I measure, see the 3 steps that hold the piston up off the bottom of the drum, so oil can get underneath. I measure to that. And I'm not afraid to go 580, 585. This one's, well, we'll call it 628. Somehow, all this stuff fits because it has a high snap ring. These come with varying depth snap rings. So piston itself does have a check ball. You can hear it rattling because my drum does not have a check ball. You just need one in either position. So to install it, we're just going to put a little of my favorite assembly lube, which is petroleum jelly. I'd say Vaseline, but that's a brand. Kind of like saying, you know, Weed Whacker or Mack Truck, etc. So put a little on there, a little around here. I kind of get it behind the lip of the seal so it pushes out when you, I mean, I guess you could put too much, but it all depends on how much you want to buy. You can skip this and you could just spray oil in there, which we'll put a little bit of that too, because the more you lube it, the better it works. And we're also going to air test it before this video is over to make sure it works. So that's pretty much ready to go. These are the factory J tools, Kentmore tools. I say J tools because every Kentmore tool, at least for GM stuff, starts with a J. And same deal, you can put a little bit of lube around here. This is actually aluminum. This piece is plastic. I also have an aluminum one built that I'm going to explain here in a minute as well. But yeah, that's all lubed up. I don't think we need oil at this point because we're pretty slippery. Now, in a perfect world, it's going to twist. When your hands are slippery, sometimes it's kind of hard, but it's going to go right in, and you know it's in when it clunks and it freewheels easily. I'll get these out of our way for now. I'll wipe them off and put them back when we're done. Now I'm going to alternate. Ooh, I forgot to mention, this transmission was assembled with the center seal, the seal that would have gone on the drum to seal inside the piston. We're dual feeding it. It was not before, so that gets left out. So I'm going to start with a heavy, light, heavy, light. You really want to watch this? Okay. Heavy, light, don't mess up. Heavy, light. I could do two hands, but I'm committed now. Heavy, light. Won't it be embarrassing if I do it wrong? Heavy, light. Fortunately, they're different colors, so even a blind squirrel could probably get it on the second try. Light and heavy. Okay, no, see? Okay, double check. Colors are alternating. Gonna put this on. I'm gonna go over the press and we'll install the snap ring. So hang on. Over in the press, I have the opening between the bulges. And all we gotta do is release it and we're good. I have it marked. The direct drum needs a higher position than the forward drum. I have another old line down here. It's pretty much the only drums I assemble these days. All right, we're gaining. I'm gonna put the clutches in. We're gonna air test it. And then I'm gonna take them back out because I like to put it into the transmission. Being able to grab right here, when this is fully assembled, your hands don't fit on the outside in the case. I have a tool that I could use, but it's just as easy to leave the clutches out, but I want to make sure everything fits first. So I've cleaned all this stuff up. I'm going to lube it when I put them in for real. So don't freak out that I'm not lubing them now. It has the black, I believe they're called choline steels. I'm going to take them back out afterwards, but they don't use all the lugs. And most of my brain wants to line everything up, but I decided just to start doing it random many, many years ago. So I'm using different lugs in the drum. If I put them all in the same, I'm only wearing 8 lugs in the drum. So I just drop them in any way they go. These are Ray Bestis Stage 1, it says. Probably if I got my magnifying glass out, I'd find a date or something, but maybe. So we just alternate. I like to put the part numbers up. Same thing. No rhyme or reason to it. It doesn't care either way. But for some reason I do. A lot of people would argue about oiling the clutches or not. It certainly doesn't hurt. I don't go crazy. I don't soak them for any amount of time. I just make sure they go in wet. They're going to absorb any oil around them. They seem to be, almost hygroscopic, if you will. So. Last clutch, and I can tell you by looking at it that it's on the tight side. I look at the top clutch, eyeballing right here on the shelf where the pressure plate's gonna sit. This could probably benefit from cutting the piston down. Again, it was never run in this configuration, you do want to hear this hit the shelf when you drop it in, which we do. But let's just see, when we apply some air to it, how much travel we actually have. Yeah, doesn't feel too bad. Let me get the tool and an air gun, and we'll blow it up. Okay, we're back with the tool. I'm going to lube up, just like I said I was gonna when I install it, the bore that goes down over the center support that has the seals. It does all the sealing to deliver the oil where it needs to go. So we'll lube that up. This is a piece of aluminum made in a lathe by David Nod. He's now on the transmission forums. He's making all kinds of tools. I believe he's making these. Might want to look him up if you want some tools. He's wicked reasonable, and every tool he's made me has been genius. It's funny on the forums, lots of people say, you know, well, I did that the hard way for 50 years and I don't see any need to change. Why would you resist a tool that makes your life easier? Oh well. So this has O-rings. Needs to go all the way in. Kind of push it right down. And we're in. If you had used oil to assemble the piston, you can expect some to come back out of the hole, so be ready for that. I kind of angle it away from me. Let me grab my blowgun first. And I don't have much pressure left in my tank. It doesn't take much. But there's an apply hole in the back of the aluminum piece. And if we just look around here, I'll be the return spring. I'm pushing on the pressure plate just so you can see the clearance. So, you know that hydraulically, this unit's okay. So if you have an issue and you're going through the trouble tree, you can rule this out because you know this works. You might have a sealing problem in the center support or a problem in the valve body, but this piece can hydraulically function. And now my bore is all pre-lubed. So I will wait and do the forward drum in the next video, and then we'll drop them both in. But we're gonna call this ready to run. Now that I've worked it a few times, I think the clearance is gonna be okay. Ballpark, and people like to say 10 thousandths a clutch, would need 60 thousandths. I could measure that if I felt like it, but probably got 50. I say I think I could benefit from cutting the piston. Normally I would have, if I wasn't doing a video, excuses, right? I always put the piston in without the seals, stack up the clutches and check. For some reason, because it was previously assembled, I assumed it was correct. So if you know me at all, off camera, I'm going to take it all apart, cut the piston, put it back together, and when we go to put it in, I'll mention that, guaranteed. All right, I'll catch you in the next video. Take her easy.